Hey all, Scott here. Oh, I'm sorry, I should be more specific. You don't want to get me confused with any of the other hey-alling Scotts around here. Lots of people are named Scott. For example. Well, just in case we're both here at the same time and you need to know who to shoot, I've decided to say goodbye to my old name, and from here on out, I'm to be referred to by the one thing that's wholly unique to me.
Hey guys, wanna play Portal?
Nobody likes me.
With a medium as old and broad as video games, we were always bound to have this issue. My favorite video game is titled Football.
And my favorite fish swim!
Same name, different game, because life wasn't hard enough. Hey, loads of game franchises consist of nothing but consistent re-releases, or just different versions of the same concept. Like, for example, how many games out there are just titled Tetris, you know? But see, that I can understand. This, the opposite of that statement is you can't oversit. Star Fox for Atari 2600.
Colors, shapes, lines. That's Star Fox!
It's always been a funny little novelty out 10 years before Nintendo's Star Fox debuted. I'd wager to bet that 60% of the Atari game library is space shooting based, so they definitely just titled this by picking 2 words at random, with one of them being galactic as f***. Man, just call it Space Noun. But then Nintendo made a game that was, quite literally, a Star Fox. And they had to fight to name it that. Over in Europe, they had to settle for the titles Starwing and Lilac Wars for Star Fox 64. I thought that was due to this game giving them copyright troubles in certain territories. Or this game. Yeah, this is Star Fox for Commodore 64 from 1987. My God, there are fewer games called banana. This isn't like a normal word. How did 3 different groups of people settle on the same name, with that name being Star Fox?
I'm so excited to debut my brand new game. What do you mean that title's already taken?
Turns out these games have nothing to do with why Star Fox couldn't be called Star Fox in Europe. It was because of this German company, Star Vox. The name was just a little too similar for Nintendo to move ahead with that title. Didn't stop Star Fox for Commodore 64. Hell, that did the opposite and was titled something else in North America. That brings up a good point, how different regions can make for the worst next 40 seconds of my life. The Final Fantasy series was notorious for skipping and renaming entries when bringing them over from Japan, leading us to having 2 completely different Final Fantasy 2s and 3s. The Final Fantasy 2 we got in North America was actually Final Fantasy 4 in Japan, with 3 being 6. Well, that can already be confusing, but what if we want to take things a step further? What about the DS remake of Final Fantasy 3? The WonderSwan version of Final Fantasy 2? I mean, sure, many of these games at their core are the same, even if they sure don't look like it, but we'd be here all day if we counted all the re-releases and remakes out there. So let's try and stick to completely different games, like
Thank God!
Pray and Pray. These 2 games have nothing to do with each other, even if this is supposed to be a reboot of that. And that was meant to get a sequel for years, eventually getting canceled, with this getting announced later on. But this was never meant to be that. Prey from 2017 was not developed with the intention of being connected in the slightest to Prey from 2006. Publisher Bethesda just noticed this game has aliens, that game has aliens. What else are we gonna do? You know, that game has the color brown? Well, this game has the color brown. Bethesda forced the developers to title this game Prey, maybe because after canceling Prey 2 in 2014, they wanted to nab some brownie points from fans for announcing something, dear God, anything Prey related just 2 years later at E3 2016. And just bring a cat out on stage at that point. This decision alienated fans of the original game and newcomers to the franchise, which left
Another reason to be pissed off. Math.
What does this have to do with Prey? About as much as Prey has to do with Prey. Prey, an alien encounter for the Amiga CD32 from 1993. Now, sure, we have a subtitle here, but is that really gonna stop you from just calling it Prey? 3 products, 2 of which from the same franchise, all called Prey, all involving aliens, all in first person, with nothing to do with each other. And you know what? Okay, what are you doing the rest of the day?
Which brings us to products which, just like Prey, use the alphabet in their titles.
Disney's Aladdin on Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo is one of the most infamous examples of same name, different game. Now, you can say the same about loads of games from this era. Nowadays, multi-platform games are barely different across the consoles they're on. Sure, some versions may look better or worse than the others, but at their core, these are all the same game. However, that wasn't always the case throughout gaming history, and Aladdin is the poster child for this, alright? One version on Genesis developed by Virgin Games, another on SNES developed by Capcom. That's a cute little factoid. I wonder what others think of it.
Welcome to Mistake Making 101. Step 1. Do this.
This is like one of a retro gaming enthusiast's favorite debates to have. Which version of Aladdin is better? That may sound like a compliment, but I mean, look at these debates, man. They're both good games. You can't really go wrong with either. But time and time again, the Genesis release is considered the best. Hell, even Shinji Mikami, the designer of the SNES version, prefers this one. Well, in my opinion, I find the Super Nintendo game to be rock solid. It has a pretty unique acrobatic flow to the level design, focusing less on combat and more on traversing the stage smoothly, which I feel represents the movie fairly well. In comparison, the Genesis game features actual weaponry. Oh boy! I mean, what would you pick here? Isn't the choice obvious? I honestly find the Genesis version to be way more annoying. There's no tactility to hitting enemies. It doesn't feel like you're doing anything to them half the time. Just some funky ass hit detection in addition to some level design quirks that are annoying or confusing or just flat out bland. Like on Super Nintendo, these stage layouts feel finely crafted. There's such an awesome rhythm to platforming here. However, Genesis definitely takes the cake when it comes to the aesthetics. I mean, look at this animation. It is so smooth, like it's ripped right from the movie. And hey, what do you know? Actual Disney animators worked on this version. And I can't lie, the sword is cool to have. In Capcom's game, you almost feel completely powerless. So my stance is, SNES is the better game, though Genesis is more appealing.
Step 2.
But yeah, even though these two are incredibly comparable since they're both based on the same movie, they are entirely different releases. Much like Batman the video game, Batman Returns, Willow, Jurassic Park, Ghostbusters, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Star Wars, Wayne's World, Terminator, Terminator 2, Home Alone, RoboCop, Transformers, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, Dracula, Superman, Rambo, Rocky, The Godfather, Waterworld, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Over the Hedge. My favorite game is Over the Hedge.
What the f does that mean?
I mean, I could go on and on with these licensed games because you know what they do most of the time? A version for consoles, a version for handhelds, a PC release, which who the hell knows what you were getting there? The power differences and audiences of each platform were so different that at the time, it wasn't unheard of to have a version for HD consoles, a version for the lower end consoles, a version for the Game Boy Advance, a version for the Nintendo DS, a version for the PSP, and a version for PC, and for most of them to be completely different games with the exact same titles. At some point though, I think many start to wise up and instead of naming the Nintendo DS version of a game like it's just the game when in reality,
I'm playing Black Ops and lying's a sin.
Later on, oftentimes these releases would contain a subtitle commanding you to don't give your shits to me, which, hey, I think that's a far better way to go about it. As a kid, I wasn't privy to what a Game Boy Advance could run and what it couldn't. You tell me Tomb Raider Legend is on GBA and I'm like, wow, this game on my Game Boy? This was the moment I realized, if there's wonder in this world, it ain't in this room. Handheld multiplats are the easiest examples of two different games with the same name. Very rarely would you get a one-to-one experience between the two, or at the very least, something close enough to the point where you don't feel like a damn fool for buying into it. Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, DS, hell, even 3DS, all would receive games with the same title as something on the home consoles, and most of the time, aw, Smurfs 2? I love that shit on my Wii U. Can't wait to play it on the go. Yeah. On the go! I mean, with this, I guess they tried to convey the differences with a different box art, but like, who keeps the Smurfs 2 box art on tap in their mind? Oh, wait a second, this isn't my Smurfs 2. This must be something completely different. Smurfs 2. Now, I thought this wouldn't be happening over on the PlayStation Portable and PlayStation Vita, considering one of the key selling points of the PlayStation handhelds was how they were practically home consoles to go. This was a PlayStation 2 for your pocket, evident by Spider-Man 2 being a launch title for the thing. The PS2 version was incredible. I mean, swinging around in open world New York City, but now portably. Didn't get my fix on the Game Boy Advance, that's not Spider-Man 2. On the DS, not Spider-Man 2. On the N-Gage, not Spider-Man 2. So finally, we get not Spider-Man 2! To be fair, Spider-Man 2 on PSP is far closer to the home console game than any of the other handhelds. Still isn't Spider-Man 2. If anything, it's like Spider-Man 1 on PS2. No open world, no web swinging through the city with genuine physics, just generic-ass Spider-Man-like action, man. It's serviceable. But it's wild to me how many different versions of Spider-Man 2 existed on game consoles. And sometimes the same one! Spider-Man 2 on PSP and Spider-Man 2 on PSP. Hey, at least the cover art is different. I'm about to say my catchphrase. If you're an open season fan, you're f***ed. Yeah, so these are UMD movie releases for the PSP, many of which were films that got tie-in video games also on the PSP. I mean, this is a bit of a cheeky example. Like, yeah, there's 2 releases titled Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire on PSP, but one of them's the game and one of them's the actual movie. So it's like, okay, haha, Scott, what a fun fact. Can you please take a step back? But hey, this brings us to a whole new subset of this junk, all right? The same name, different game on the same console. This has been something that's fascinated me for years, like Resident Evil 4 on the PlayStation 4 and Resident Evil 4 on the PlayStation 4. God damn, having these two on the shelf next to each other is so much fun. Of course, the original game's logo just had to be for Resident Evil, and the official title on the menu is all lowercase, and then they added a parenthesis 2005 once this remake was a thing. And with this being a remake and this being just an HD remaster of the original, this isn't like the wildest thing out there. It ain't worth slamming on your brakes in the middle of a busy intersection because you just realized there's 2 Resident Evil 4s on PS4. Or at least that's what the government thinks. Well, how about Need for Speed Most Wanted from 2005 and Need for Speed Most Wanted from 2012, both on the Xbox 360. I mean, that's a testament to how long that generation was. The fact this game came out at the 360's launch and that console still wasn't dead when they thought, enough time has passed, let's reboot Need for Speed Most Wanted. But don't get it twisted, these are 2 completely different games. They have next to nothing to do with each other besides cars and racing and Need for Speed and the Xbox 360. Outside of those, these are 2 different beasts. Most Wanted 2005 was primarily a game for the 6th generation of consoles, the original Xbox, PS2, GameCube. But since the Xbox 360 did debut that year, and racing games are generally solid showcases for fancy new graphics, I mean, there were 3 available at the 360's launch alone, this just made sense. And 7 years later, they thought, let's make sense again! I'd say this is less a reboot and more, they just wanted to use this title again. The developers said they just really love the idea of being the most wanted. So just call it Best Yearned. How about this one here? Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade by Taito and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade by Ubisoft. Both on the NES, both completely different. Even the covers are nearly identical. Like, how does this happen? Well, the Taito version was released in 1991, and by and large, was just an NES movie game. Dime a dozen kind of stuff here. The version by Ubisoft was actually an adaptation of this PC game here, titled Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the action game, which helped differentiate it from another PC game, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the graphic adventure. But then they wanted to bring the action game to consoles, including the NES, but just titled it Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Well, then how do we differentiate between these 2? Well, this one's bad, and this one's worse. Well, those right there were the best examples I could come up with for same name, different game, on the same console. Of course, we could keep going as long as we want, but is it really that interesting that there are 2 games called Destroy All Humans on PS4, with one being the original and the other being a remake? Like, that's not the same as 2 Crosswords DS games. So let's veer things back to more traditional examples, such as Mega Man X and Mega Man 10.
Oh my god! No!
Yeah, this one's just sort of funny. I mean, loads of the original Mega Man games, well, their box art used regular numbers, their title screens used Roman numerals. Hell, all the Game Boy releases used Roman numerals across the board, and these are also different from the console games of the same name. But around the time Mega Man 6 released on the NES, Mega Man X released on the Super Nintendo, a brand new Mega Man sub-series. And you look at this, and you look at this, and yeah, I think it would have been fair to assume this was titled Mega Man 10. But then we got Mega Man 10 in 2010, so we have 2 games titled Mega Man 10. Or Mega Man X, your pick. But hey, that's par for the course with this franchise. It seems like every entry has this problem. There are 4 different Mega Man 3s. This is one of them. Well, f it if this counts. Oh my god, 5 versions and none are alike. The Punch-Out series is one of the worst offenders, though. Every damn game in this franchise is just titled Punch-Out or Super Punch-Out. Or arm wrestling. Oh, I was hoping they were gonna call it Mega Man 3. Oh my god, 6 games? To be fair, Punch-Out's kind of in this weird territory where these games are different, but they're all practically remakes of each other. So it's hard to fault them, but at the same time, god damn, just add another exclamation mark or something. I don't know. It's so hard to explain to somebody your favorite game when there's a million others called the same thing. I'm so tired of saying I love Africa with a K just to get the response, which one? Well, damn it, let's go simple here. There's no confusing this. My favorite game is Pong. With such taste like this, you may be asking, oh, what's your second favorite game? Pong! Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. What the hell is this? You really named your game Pong in 1992 and released it on an Atari computer system? The company who owns Pong? Pong is a side-scroller where you are ball. Thank God they named it this. What, do you have a better title? 7. We got Crackdown and Crack, Inhale, Down, Journey, Destiny, Wipeout for God's sake, Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Gaiden. Like, my god, how hard is it to give your game a unique title? I mean, I know numbering entries isn't very creative, but you really gotta try to get confused with these. Let's take Madden, for example. That naming scheme is boring, sure, but it makes sense. And hey, sometimes they have a bit of fun. 2013 was the franchise's 25th anniversary, so instead of Madden 14, they titled it Madden 25. That's cute and all, but I always wondered over a decade down the line what they'd call the Madden game in 2024. There's no escaping this hell. You can't refer to any game anymore without even a hint of confusion. Oh, Mortal Kombat 1? What the hell does that mean? We really need to reevaluate what we're doing here, and honestly, the video game industry should take a good long look at me and see just how easier this is. You know what, f*** it, just call me Star Fox.